The townsfolk gathered in the dusty square of an old western outpost, their eyes filled with judgment and whispers sharp as knives. A wooden platform stood at the center, the kind once used for selling cattle and horses, yet on this day, a young woman stood upon it, trembling. Her name was Clara. She had been born different, her body carrying a feature no one could understand, 3 breasts where most had 2. To her, it was nothing but life as she had always known it. But to the town, she was branded as unnatural, a freak, a spectacle. They didn't see her heart, her kindness, or her strength, only the difference that set her apart. And so, as cruel men shouted prices as though she were livestock, Clara lowered her head and silently prayed. Among the crowd stood a rancher, Eli Matthews. He was no stranger to hardship. A war veteran who had lost friends and nearly lost his ranch, Eli had learned the hard way that scars, seen or unseen, never defined the worth of a person. His weathered eyes scanned the platform and caught Clara's trembling gaze. He didn't see deformity. He saw fear. He saw humanity. The auctioneer raised his hammer, calling for bids. The jeering voices grew louder. And just before the gavel fell, Eli stepped forward. "I'll take her." The crowd went silent. Murmurs spread like wildfire. Why would a man, respected, hardworking, known for his honesty, buy the woman everyone else mocked? But Eli didn't flinch. He paid the price, walked to the stage, and gently placed his coat around Clara's shoulders. For the first time in years, she felt safe. When Eli brought Clara back to his ranch, he did not demand anything of her. He didn't look at her with curiosity or pity. Instead, he gave her space, kindness, and the dignity she had long been denied. But Clara carried a secret. The townsfolk thought her third breast was a curse. Yet what they never knew was that her body had once nourished her abandoned baby brother, left to die in the desert by cruel hands. She had saved his life. That extra part of her, the thing people mocked, was the very gift that kept another soul alive. One evening, as Eli repaired a fence and Clara tended the horses, she finally spoke. "You must wonder why you bought me," she whispered, her voice quivering. Eli wiped the sweat from his brow and looked at her. "I don't wonder. I saw someone who didn't deserve the cruelty she was given. That's enough." Her eyes filled with tears. No one had ever spoken to her like that before. Slowly, she shared the truth of her past, the infant she had saved, the suffering she had endured. Eli listened without judgment, his heart heavy with admiration. "You've carried shame for something that was never shameful," he told her softly. "The world saw a curse. I see a miracle." Days turned to weeks, and kindness blossomed into something more. Clara began to smile again, to laugh, to believe that she was worthy of love. She discovered that Eli's ranch wasn't just a place of work, it was a sanctuary for those who had nowhere else to go. He had taken in strays, hired broken men who needed second chances, and shared meals with drifters who had nothing. And now, he had given her the greatest gift of all, dignity. The town continued to whisper, but soon, something unexpected happened. One afternoon, a woman who had once laughed at Clara came to the ranch. She carried a sickly baby in her arms, desperate for help. The doctor had given up. The child wouldn't eat. Clara stepped forward, her hands trembling, her heart torn. She knew she could help. But would she dare? Eli took her hand. "If this is your choice, I'll stand with you." With courage, Clara nursed the child, and within days, the baby's strength returned. Word spread quickly, not of a cursed woman, but of a woman whose gift had saved a life. The same townsfolk who once mocked her now looked at her with awe. Slowly, the jeers turned into respect, and then into gratitude. Clara had transformed what they saw as a deformity into a blessing. Years later, Clara stood on the porch of the ranch with Eli at her side. Children ran in the fields, her children, once unthinkable in a life she thought was doomed. She had found love not because someone overlooked her difference, but because someone had cherished her humanity above all else. Her past no longer haunted her. She was no longer an outcast. She was a wife, a mother, a healer, and above all, a woman whose kindness turned cruelty into hope. And as the sun set across the wide open plains, Clara whispered to Eli, "You didn't just buy me that day. You saved me." Eli smiled, pulling her close. No, Clara. You saved yourself. I just gave you a place to belong. This story reminds us that what the world calls different is often a hidden gift. True kindness sees past the surface and touches the heart, and sometimes, the very thing that makes us feel unworthy becomes the very reason we are meant to shine.